If you're aiming for a calmer, freer retirement, sometimes the smartest move isn't buying something new, it's letting something go. Today we're talking about 5 things you can sell or stop funding to lower your stress, cut ongoing costs, and open up room for the life you actually want in your go-go retirement years. Now, most retirement advice obsesses over what to buy or how much to save. But here's a quiet truth. Freedom often comes from subtraction, not addition. It's about releasing the stuff that owns your time, money, and mental space. There are really 2 kinds of people watching this. One group is asking, am I ready? Do I have enough? If that's you, you'll leave this video with practical ways to shore up cash flow and confidence. The other group is already convinced. I'm ready. I want to make these healthy years count. If that's you, this is about removing drag so you can say yes to the good stuff more often. I'll start with the biggest dollar impact. Then at the end, I'll give you a 3-question filter I use called keep, sell, or swap, so you can test any decision fast. First, the extra large house that used to fit your life perfectly. It was the right size when you had a full table every night and a minivan in the driveway. But now life is, well, different. A couple friend of mine loved their neighborhood. Block parties, nice walking trails, great coffee shop and restaurants 2 streets over. What they didn't love anymore was managing a 5-bedroom museum of memories and paying utilities, high property taxes, and everything else that comes with a large house. So they sold and bought a condo instead because the math surprised them. By doing so, they unlocked 6 figures of equity and cut their annual costs by owning a house by thousands. Second, the quiet budget leak. Ongoing support of your adult children that crowds out your own retirement security. I get why this is hard. I'm a retired parent of an adult child myself. Being generous is part of being a parent. But here's a perspective check. You have a finite number of highly active weeks left to travel, learn, host, and play. Your kids have decades of runway, compounding paychecks and investments, and lessons they can only learn by carrying their own weight. I know a couple that delayed retirement 3 years to help with their kids' down payment on a house. Loving? Yes. Necessary? Maybe not. Mortgages exist. Side hustles exist. And there are no retirement loans when you start putting your own retirement in jeopardy by helping your kids too much. Help if you comfortably can, but don't trade irreplaceable healthy years and your retirement security for something your kids can solve with time and effort. I'll also link a video I created earlier this year called How Your Kids Can Derail Your Retirement Unless You Plan for It, that is devoted to this topic that I'll include a link to in the description and at the end of this video. And it includes how to manage this with your kids, how to set boundaries, how to plan ahead, so you can protect your financial independence without guilt. All right, my third thing to consider selling is any hobby toys that turned into budget bullies. Boats, RVs, a classic car or 2. The pattern is common. You love the idea of the thing, but you only use it a handful of times a year, even while storage, insurance, and maintenance bills show up like clockwork. A viewer shared that his lovingly restored car collection was costing roughly the price of a European trip every year just to sit. His fix: keep the one that sparks joy every time the garage door opens and sell the rest to people who'll actually use them. He kept the thrill, he ditched the drag. Your vision of that could be downsizing from an RV you maintain to a rental RV 2 weeks a year, or from full boat ownership to a local boat club pass. Same experience, fewer fixed bills. Fourth thing to consider getting rid of is having a second car by habit. Once you retire, commuting is gone. Your schedule is a lot more flexible, yet 2 depreciating assets sit in the garage with 2 insurance policies, 2 registrations, and twice the tires. When you do retire, and if you still have 2 cars, do a 1-month experiment. Act as if you're a 1-car household, because with just a little planning and with that flexible schedule you now have, if you're not regularly annoyed, sell the extra car and redirect that cash flow to something you'll actually remember. Use it for trips, grandkid adventures, or upgrading experiences you already love. Fifth, the stuff that carries your old identity into your new life. You can't sell it on eBay, but it costs you attention every day. Titles, plaques, routines, and the reflex to measure your worth by productivity or status. A retired executive friend told me he kept signing up for committees because he didn't know how to stop being the guy in charge. He wasn't bored, he was unpracticed at being a beginner again. The breakthrough was replacing who needs me with what lights me up now. He tried woodworking, took 2 classes that had nothing to do with his old job, and started mentoring once a month on his terms. He didn't abandon accomplishment. He redeployed it toward a life that felt lighter. Quick check-in, if this is helpful, hit like so more people can find it, and tell me in the comments what's one thing you sold or stopped funding that gave you your weekends or your sanity back. Your example might unlock someone else's decision. And let's talk about the decision filter I promised. Keep, sell, or swap. Just 3 questions, no spreadsheets required. Question 1, when you retire, or if you are already retired, ask, does this serve my next chapter or my last chapter? If you stripped away the nostalgia, would you rebuy it today for how you actually live now? If the answer is it reminds me of who I was, honor that and then design around who you're becoming or plan to become. Question 2, what's the real all-in cost? Not just the payment, add insurance, taxes, utilities, storage, maintenance, and the sneaky one, your time. Also add opportunity cost. If this item vanished and you had the cash back, what would you do with it that would make your future self smile? Question 3, what becomes possible if I release it? Fewer bills is obvious, but what about mental bandwidth? Fewer decisions, less I should really lurking in the background. Sometimes selling one thing gives you 5 hours a week and 3 tips a year you actually take. Here's your practical field test, the 60-day swap. For 2 months, live exactly as if the thing is gone. Park the RV and rent a weekend cabin instead. Don't touch the second car. Put a sticky note on your calendar every time you feel true inconvenience versus mild habit itch. At the end, you'll know if you missed the thing or if you missed the idea of the thing. That clarity is gold. And if 60 days seems too long for this test, feel free to make it a 30-day swap. Also, a quick word on swap, because sometimes the answer isn't sell, it's change the form. Swap full ownership for access, memberships, rentals, peer-to-peer sharing. Swap the big house for the right size place in the same neighborhood. Swap paying your kids' bills for helping them build a plan and matching their effort. Swap identity maintenance for curiosity and play. Here's the deeper promise of this whole exercise. Retirement isn't deprivation, it's optimization. You're not shrinking your life, you're editing it. The happiest retirees I know don't own the most stuff. They own the least that gets in the way. Every item you keep taxes your attention. Every bill you owe rents space in your head and uses your retirement funds. Freeing those up is how you trade money for time and time for memories. If this helped, give it a like so it reaches more people, and share one thing you're considering selling or swapping right now. And consider subscribing too, of course. And for a great companion piece to this video, watch my last video on the 7 assets to avoid for retirement so you don't add new drag while you're removing the old drag. I'll have a link to it in the description and at the end of this video. Also, I've got a freebie to share that I made a few weeks ago. Download my free 12 must-do steps to retire sooner and smarter. It's a checklist that offers a quick, practical guide to retiring early. And I've also got a freebie Manji Calculator Excel template I created a couple weeks ago for my video titled ACA Manji, How to Calculate and Manage It for Big Savings, which goes over how to not only calculate Manji if you're planning on going on an Affordable Care Act plan next year, but even more importantly, strategies to manage it so that you can pay less for premiums and even potentially get cost-sharing reductions as well. And when you're on the go, Early Retirement Roadmap is available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and go to mikeupland.com for all of my media and resources in one place. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this is Mike Upland, early retiree last year at the age of 55. Take care and make the most of today.